Good afternoon, or yes, it is just afternoon. Good
Just
afternoon. I am Tracy Sinclair, and with me, of course, our chief meteorologist, Melissa Fry. Major storm moving through South Central into the interior. I mean, This is affecting a huge chunk of Alaska. Warm, wet, windy.
Yes.
It's just been kind of all of what we don't need right now when a lot of places have a lot of snow.
Yeah.
Tell us what you've been seeing.
Big impacts here across the region, pretty much as forecasted. Again, we are now at the tail end of this for South Central. Doesn't mean we're at the tail end of the impacts, but the tail end of the storm at least. And we are going to see just a quick fluctuation in temperatures. So let's get right to those weather graphics, and I'll just show you again what we are expecting. Again, we're still in those first alert weather days from South Central into the interior. We also do have those impacts in the southwest corner of the state as well. Again, it's all that combination of snow, rain, freezing rain, and then high wind on top of that. So a number of weather alerts in place, and it's all because of that. Again, mixed precipitation and high winds at the same time. Into the interior, we've seen some very dangerous conditions near Delta Junction all the way down into Fort Greely. We even have seen closures on the Richardson Highway because of the extreme wind and ice in that area. And then looking out to the interior again in town in Fairbanks, and not as extreme, but certainly around, we're still seeing a lot of snow and a lot of wind as well. And those impacts moving into the southwest corner of the state as well. So this is the storm. You can see that band of moisture, just that steady stream pushing into South Central, which is an atmospheric river. Again, we are just tapping into almost endless supply of just warm tropical moisture.
And so that is coming, you said tropical moisture, so we're getting this like basically straight from Hawaii.
Exactly.
And so that's one of the reasons why we were so cold, we got all that snow, and then this just push of warm air.
Yeah, so we were just waiting last night for those temperatures to warm in Anchorage. Obviously that happened this morning as we pushed into the 40s, but those temperatures now are already beginning to drop. So this is a look at the edge of the front. It has already cleared Kenai, Homer, mostly across Seward, even Whittier's starting to see that clearing, and you can see the Anchorage bowl just on the back edge of that. The valley, you're still in the thick of it for another few hours. But for Anchorage, the good news here is we are going to see an end to this precipitation here in just the next couple of hours. The problem is it is a wide variety of types of precipitation. I just spoke with a friend, and she said in 1 minute driving from Midtown toward the south side of town, she saw it go from rain to snow, back to rain, again, just rapidly changing here across town.
Yeah, and as I was driving in, I kept getting, it was sort of rain, but it was also kind of a rain snow mix. It was slush coming down and quite hitting my windshield very heavy. And even, we're talking about the storm almost being done. We are going to go in through some of the impacts. That doesn't mean the impacts are over once we're done with this band of rain.
Right.
We've still got to be dealing with these for a while.
Yes. So if you're trying to make a determination of when you should hit the road, you need to get somewhere. If you can delay that even a couple hours, these conditions, I do expect in some regard will improve. So the situation right now from Anchorage into the valley is that rain and rain snow mix is coming down very heavy. Again, this is this heavy band of moisture moving through. That's really going to impact visibility and how much water. Now, after the rain stops falling, it's still going to be on the ground, and we'll still see those impacts here through the night. But again, I just want to point out that really it's the next hour or two that are pretty critical in terms of how much falling precipitation we're seeing. Now, the second piece to this storm is the wind. We have been seeing, extreme wind as you head up to the higher elevations. Look at these numbers: 91 miles per hour at the top of Alyeska, 93 at the top of Flat Top, 99 out at Sunburst Mountain as you head through Turning and Pass. These are extreme winds. We've been seeing that through the night. That has been filtering into sort of that lower to mid hillside here in the last couple of hours, where we're seeing many areas getting winds in excess of 60 miles per hour on the Glen Highway, on the bridge there in Palmer. We have seen winds all the way up to 63 miles per hour, and in Anchorage just in the last hour ramping up to about 43 miles per hour. So in the lower elevations, these winds are going to increase as we head into this afternoon. So I do want you to be prepared for strong wind on the lower elevations of Anchorage and for the valley again for the next few hours. But look at the variety of temperatures: 40 degrees in Palmer, 35 in Anchorage, still technically above freezing, but that number is steadily dropping. Check out Kenai at 33, 32 in Homer. So again, the further south you head, it's into that cold air. All of South Central will eventually filter into that cold air. As you head up into the interior, you're still in the warm pocket, 30 degrees right now in Fairbanks. This is some of the warmest air that we have seen in the interior since Halloween weekend.
I was going to say, seriously, you guys have been so cold into the interior, and now this, not above freezing though.
Not at the airport, but we are seeing some pockets above freezing.
Okay, so you were discussing earlier that areas outside of the main city of Fairbanks,
yes,
quite a mess.
Especially as you head south again toward Delta Junction, pretty extreme conditions there, and then really heavy precipitation as you head west and north of Fairbanks, and that's going to increase as we head through this afternoon. The precipitation totals here over the past 48 hours are just astonishing. Portage Glacier, 7.5 inches of rain.
Gosh.
Seward, 3.39 inches of rain. So again, just very wet conditions there on the east side of Kenai Mountains. And I do understand that we've had some significant impacts in Seward. So not only have you had 3 1/3 inches of rain in 48 hours, but again, temperatures are warm and we're seeing a lot of rapidly melting snow.
Yes, and we actually, one of our reporters spoke with Doug, I'm going to hope I don't mess up your name, sir, Schlossler? I apologize for that. He is with Public Works down in Seward, and we do have a bit of that conversation. He's telling us the current conditions, what we're seeing right now.
Well, we got lots of flooding going on right now. Just right after getting snow and getting things kind of plowed out and working through, it started raining on us, and like probably lots of places are just trying to get storm drains all open. And we've had a few flood areas over the roads. We're catching up with most. The highway through town, the state hasn't caught up with that yet. We've got some pretty good puddles across the highway coming through town.
So can you tell me which roads are some of the bigger problems right now?
Right now, I mean, we've got through some big ones, but right now, still the state highway, 3rd Avenue is the same road, 3rd Avenue State Highway coming through town is flooded up. Nash Road just outside of town. Both of those are actually state roads that are flooded up, and I'm sure they're probably busy as can be. In town, we had some real big ones on the end of the road railway, and then again on Van Buren, right in the center of town by the harbor. Both of those we got open back up now. But we're just trying to keep up with sanding too. All the roads are slippery. We're running sand trucks nonstop, trying to keep everything, getting the ice taken care of. You know, I'd say if you're heading out today, 2 things. I mean, wear some ice cleats, because wherever you get out, there is so many slippery spots, even if the roads are doing pretty good, but there's definitely slippery roads and alleys, and just be real careful if you have to go out. If you're driving, I mean, there's been some cars slid off here and there, and we don't want anybody to get hurt or wrecked. So I'd say just be really careful with driving and have ice cleats if you're going to be, once you step out of the car somewhere in a parking lot, there's.
Again, welcome. Again, if you're just joining us here, we're covering the weather situation here across South Central, looking at the conditions again from Seward, where we were hearing from Public Works folks about the flooding there. And again, we are seeing similar scenarios as we head up into the valley. We know that the Cars Safeway is currently closed because of a leaking roof, and we know that there's some other local businesses that are having to close because of flooding. You don't think of that concern in the winter season.
Well, we've just finished with this major situation in Southeast as well,
Right.
where again, a lot of snow and then rain moving in. We've got a fair bit of snow and then rain moving in, and I apologized. I had Melissa's mic down and you didn't hear her just a second ago. That was my fault running the board.
No
my
problem.
bad.
This is all live.
My
We're all live
my
here.
bad. I got distracted by listening to Doug down in Seward. But yes, what you were saying, flooding in businesses in the valley. We do know there are roads with standing water, very slick on the side roads, particularly it looks like in the valley. And if you do have pictures and you can safely get pictures or videos, we don't want to put anybody at risk just so we can see that. But really, this is covering such a broad area that there's no way that our crews can get everywhere. We do have about 4 or 5 crews out right now covering this story, but we can't be everywhere. So if you can safely get pictures or videos of the conditions in your area, that's what we were talking about. If you can go to our website and go up to the top where it says submit photos and videos, you click on that and you get to this page. It's a pretty simple process from there. It's just add media and it'll take you through. Melissa was also saying that if you can't get a picture, but maybe you could just give us a description, like put it there, use the description part of that. We would love to hear what's going on in your area.
Yeah, that lets us just again let our viewers across the state know what these impacts are, if there's areas that people should avoid, if there are areas that really need some response from the city or the community or the borough or the state. We certainly want to know about those impacts in your community. So again, bottom line, the storm again is still dropping a lot of rain. Temperatures are still above freezing for most areas at this point, but that is quickly changing. So we are going to see those road conditions also rapidly changing and evolve as we head here through the afternoon. So biggest concern right now is just how much water is being put down and how warm it is. But 3-4 hours from now, again, it's going to be a different scenario because those temperatures are going to be dropped. It will be dry tonight, but those temperatures are going to drop. And then the winds are climbing for the lower elevations. It's been extreme in the mountains and on the hillside, but that is going to now start to move into town. Gusts around 50 miles per hour are definitely likely in Anchorage, in the valley, even into Kenai as we head into the second half of the day. And I want to show some of those weather impacts. Again, we are talking about temperatures and the variety that we are seeing here across the region. Again, looking at this map, the green is rain, the purple is snow, and the pink is in between. So you can see Anchorage is in that in-between mark, Valley is in that in-between mark, even into the Copper River Basin in that in-between mark. But you get up into those higher elevations, and we are seeing that transition back to snow. We're also seeing that transition back to snow in places like Talkeetna. So there is still a chance that, again, many of us could see that transition back to snow before this is done. The other thing that I want to point out is that we are also seeing, again, just such a variety across the entire state. So again, do be prepared for those impacts. So we looked at those precipitation totals here of the last 48 hours. The other piece of this is the avalanche warning. This should be obvious at this point, but it is very dangerous in the backcountry. There has been a lot of beautiful snow. It is not beautiful snow right now, and it is very unstable. So please do avoid the backcountry. Here's what the next 12 hours is going to look like. Look at 6 o'clock, 28 degrees. Wow. Precipitation is done, but we are rapidly dropping below freezing. A lot of that cold air is going to funnel back in here tonight. And so anything that is liquid right now or in the next couple of hours, that standing water, I'm looking at our windshields here, our windows in the newsroom, and they're just covered in raindrops because we're just being basically pummeled there by that rain. All of that water is going to mix back to ice as these temperatures drop here overnight tonight. Looking ahead to the next 7-day stretch, isn't this beautiful? Look at what's coming. We have a break. A little wintry mix is still possible. Mostly is snow Saturday. But then once we get through that, we are in the clear all the way through the end of next week. Temperatures, though, they are going to cool down pretty rapidly. We're talking teens as we head into the middle part of next week and back into those 20s overnight. But we will get some beautiful sunshine. So that is the good news for you, ladies and gentlemen, is it's really rough out there right now and will be tonight all the way through tomorrow morning. But we do have a holiday weekend. Hopefully you can stay home, take care of your own property, and then once we get into next week, it will be much better.
Yes, and so kind of talk to me a little bit about right now we already had some snow on the roads. The ground was frozen, rain fell on top of that, froze again. Still a little bit of water on it. Now it's going to freeze solid. Yeah. So in my mind, that actually improves more rapidly than having water on top of ice.
Yes and no.
Okay.
Okay, so first thing I'll say is snow is very grippy. Those snowflakes, the way the crystals are and your tires go over them, that is pretty grippy. When you drive on snow, it's not as bad as when you drive. You know when they first plow it and you get kind of that ice layer and it's more slick?
Yeah.
So glare ice like that, when it is smooth ice, is worse, obviously, than if
Right.
it's wet or if it's a little slushy or you have something to give you traction. It's like driving on an ice skating rink versus driving over mud or something. So the glare ice. The other thing I'm worried about is a lot of these roads, I was on the Seward Highway, you get south of about Diamond and it was just wet and it wasn't even a lot of standing water. Once that freezes, that will be black ice. That's the kind of ice that you don't see. You think, oh, this is clear pavement, I'm fine. And then you have to slow down for some reason. You step on that brake and you swerve and it gets pretty dicey pretty quickly. So that's what I'm concerned about heading into tomorrow. Also, it takes time. Like imagine you put, your ice cube tray in the freezer. It doesn't just freeze instantly, right? That does take some time. So as we go through that transition, things are just going to be slushy and crunchy. But you are right that eventually it'll be better.
Right. We just have to get through it, not immediately like, hey, tomorrow's going to be perfect. We're still going to see those slick roads tomorrow. But then it's like when we're not having new water put onto the ice, those tires will eventually, the friction and the scrapers and the sanders will get out there and things will improve and get rid of some of that ice.
Right, it will start to improve. That phase change where we're going from snow to ice to water is just creating quite the mess. And also snowflakes can never turn back to snowflakes. Once they melt, they are melted.
Right.
And that's true for falling snowflakes and snowflakes on the ground. So once you go to water, you're not going back.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a good point. Yeah. So even if it was snow, it's now ice. It's now water. It's not snow anymore and not grippy.
Yeah. One other thing is I don't think our trees are too heavy right now with snow and ice, which is a good thing. And they don't have leaves on them, obviously. But with these winds picking up here this afternoon, we could see some power outages coming down. So if you're watching us from home, you plan to stay home and you're safe, go ahead and plug in those phones, plug in things you want charged, maybe have a flashlight ready to go, just in case we do lose that power moving into the second half of the day. With winds up over 50 miles per hour in town, that's definitely a possibility. And with the roads as bad as they are, I imagine it would take crews just a little bit longer to get to those places safely. So just out of caution, that's what I would do if I were home right now.
Excellent, excellent advice. Okay, we are, as we said, we do have several crews out and about. Melissa's going to be back here at 3 o'clock for our Friday potluck to talk a little bit more about conditions and where we're at that point. And then we will be live at 4, 5, and 6 with current conditions. And then Jackie will be here for the 10. So we got you covered on your weather, and we will also live blog.
Yes,
going
we have a live blog on the main page of our website. That's kind of your one-stop shop for all of the closures, impacts as we find out about new, avalanches are coming down, closing highways, and we're seeing power outages. All those things will be in that one-stop shop on our homepage of our website. And again, please send those pictures and videos if it's safe for you to do so. I'm seeing a lot going on social media. We will never just take your video or picture off of social media and share it. We have to have copyright clearance to do that. We have to have permission from you to do that. So you can get those to us again through our the homepage. Also the weather app. You can submit your pictures and videos that way too.
Yeah, lots of ways to get your stuff to us. We would love, if it's safe, we would love to see what the conditions are in your area. Thank you so much for joining us, and please be safe if you are out on the roads today.